Welcome to Families for Life with Bryan and Brian, a podcast of Oak Hill Baptist Church.
On today's episode, we're talking about health as a spiritual discipline, part 3.
All right, so we're back, and we're here talking about exercise today. But Brian, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Yeah,
You've been exercising a lot this week.
Yeah,
how you feeling?
I did not work out today. Worked
Okay.
out yesterday,
Yeah.
so hit it pretty hard. But
That's good.
I am feeling sore. My glutes and my hamstrings are very sore today.
Yeah, sore
so,
in the good way.
yeah, sore in a good way.
Right,
good,
right.
A good sore, but yes, definitely feeling it today. So
Yeah. Well, I did go this morning. We're on a slightly different kind of rotation. You and I are, and yeah, I'm going to feel it. That's for sure. So in a good way, hopefully.
yeah. Well, this is our last in this series. We hope you enjoyed it. We just want to do a quick series, and we're actually going to take a break over the Thanksgiving holiday, so we won't have an episode next week.
Right.
And then we'll record something. We've got something special coming up. I believe we're going to do another short series on Christmas.
Yes, absolutely.
And true to form, we just don't have it all planned out yet.
We have a couple other things
But
on our plate.
we have some ideas that we want
Yes.
to talk about, and we want to talk about Christmas in the sense of how do families think about the holiday. How do you talk to your kids about it? What are some spiritual emphasis you can bring to Christmas? So
Yeah, and I think it's going to be really important. So we hope that you'll listen because, this year has been a crazy and very different year, and even the holidays are going to be different for people.
Yeah.
So we've got to really be intentional about how we celebrate the Lord and what He has done for
Right.
us. It could really mean a lot to our families. I don't know. So.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, awesome.
So yeah, we're gonna be jumping into this, but Brian, why don't you tell us a little bit more about kind of your story and like your motivation for exercise and kind of how you're doing with that?
Yeah, so as I shared on the first part, hadn't really done a lot of exercise or workout, just kind of like in the stream of life, played some pickup sports and things like that. Nothing really dedicated. So I joined the gym in January. So it's been, I guess it's been almost 11 months now.
Yeah.
And began to work out with a friend and knew nothing, went in and started, we did some machines, we started, maybe 6 exercises, did some cardio, just didn't really know a whole lot, but still it just felt good to get in there. It felt good to just do it,
Right.
But as I went, I started learning more and more, and every month keep learning, reading books, watching videos, reading articles, and learning about exercise, the benefits, the muscular physique and what we need to work on and things like that. And so I really learned, my motivation is, I'm not going to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I've already determined that. Those guys are crazy. And, I go to the gym 3 days a week. If I can squeeze in another day or if I can squeeze in some extra cardio or something, I do. But for the most part, that's my routine.
Yeah.
And I just want I want to get strong and have really endurance, to be able to not be strong for like any sort of like competition or anything, but just to have strength to go on and continue on in life as I get older and be able to keep up with my kids, my grandkids one day, and ministry and do ministry as long as I can at my maximum capacity. And so those are sort of my goals and what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah, that's good. I think for me, starting to work out, when I started, I always thought that, people who lifted weights were just kind of like meatheads, It was just this like...
And there definitely are some meatheads.
It is a thing, yes. But what I found out, so, I thought that it was just people slinging weights, just picking up heavy things. And I was like, anybody can do that. But what I found out as I started working out and I was really being taught, I was being really discipled both in exercise and in life through my mentor at the time. I was being taught that it takes a lot of intentionality, a lot of planning, and a lot of I don't want to say it takes intelligence as if you have to be a really smart person to work out, but what it takes is learning,
knowledge. Yeah.
You have to want to learn, and anybody can learn. And so you just have to want to learn and know what you're doing. You can't just go in there and do it, and you'll hurt yourself.
Right.
And that was really formative for me. It helped me realize, like, this isn't something that you do just as a way to show off. This is actually, you're taking care of yourself here. Yeah. And so that's really my motivation now. At one point, it was to just get jacked, but I ran out of time and energy, got older, all the things, and the Lord worked on my heart to help me see that was probably not a pure motivation.
Yeah.
And
that's the danger, is you can get vain and chase the idol of fitness. And so we got to be careful with that.
We do have to be careful. And that was something the Lord really just helped me through my journey, is realizing those things and overcoming that to the place where, again, it's like you. It's being strong enough to do what I was designed and made to do.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to do ministry for as long as God wants me to, and I want to be able to do things with my children and grandchildren one day. My father-in-law is in a better health. He can outpace me in anything right now, and he's got grandkids.
You've shown me some videos, and the stuff he can do is impressive.
Yes. Him and his wife, they're both amazing, and it's just they've been doing their kind of fitness for a long time, but most recently only a few years.
Yeah,
and I work out with them, and it's brutal.
Yeah, he works you into the ground.
He does,
right?
man.
Yeah.
He does. So
so
I want to get to that point.
It's so important. We want to be strong. We also want to keep the weight off, and part of that, we talked about food last week, and so food is the most important thing in keeping the weight off. However, food and exercise work together. They have a symbiotic relationship. That, number one, when we fuel our body well, we can exercise and work out and do the things that we're designed to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it helped. So like they kind of work in a cycle.
Right.
You eat well to exercise. You exercise so you can eat well. And you just kind of continue on in that cycle. And so for me, losing weight, continuing, lost 60 pounds so far. Still got more to go. I want to get down a little bit more. But exercise has been a huge part of that for me. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really has helped me to stay motivated, to stay in the right frame of mind. And it has taken a long time. So I don't want anyone to think like there's going to be like immediate results.
Yeah. It
but
work like
over
that.
Time, as you see results, man, it's awesome. Yeah. I mean, and I praise God for everything he's done in and through me and helped me to stay disciplined to it. But anyone can do it, I feel like. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anyone can do it. And the thing is like our results will be different per person, you know? But that's why our goals can't be to become somebody else's physique.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's when you probably have some kind of impure motivation there. Mm-hmm. What it comes down to is, again, health and stewarding your body for the glory of the Lord. And if those are your motivations, that's your goal, then the Lord's going to help you in that. You're going to see results, and you're going to be able to do those things pretty relatively, not easily, but like probably more easy than you think it is.
Right.
It just takes planning and just, executing the plan.
Yeah. I remember when I first started to go to the gym, and the guy that I went with had been to the gym before with a buddy, and he was kind of in the same place I was, being out of shape, but wanted to get back at it. And I remember we went and did leg day, and I actually had a conference that I went to that next weekend. So I think we must have done leg day like on Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember. And so by Friday I was starting to feel it, but literally Saturday I had to walk around this church, this big church, upstairs, downstairs. And I was like, literally like about to cry. Yeah. Like I was just like, this hurts so bad. Yeah. But once I got past the initial soreness and the initial stages, I still get sore, right? But it's not like it was before. And so you kind of have to really push through a lot of the initial like uncomfortable soreness. I mean, as you start going, and really one really piece of advice before we get into this, is just don't like attack it.
Yeah, don't go crazy. Right
the
away.
first time you will be able to lift weight more the first time than you will the second time.
Yeah, you'll
destroy yourself.
You'll cripple yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, be careful with that. That is a danger. That's something that people do a lot.
So let's talk about a biblical backdrop real quick. We talked some of this over the last 2 episodes, so I don't think we have to get into it really deep. But
sure.
I mean, God does care about our bodies. He cares about how we treat our bodies, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's super important that we take care of ourselves, because if we were made to be co-rulers. That's why when Christ saves us, it tells us that we have been made co-heirs with Christ, because we were made originally to be co-rulers over the earth. God put us in charge of his creation. Obviously, he's the one who's ultimately in charge, but he wants us to take part in that. But we can't do that if we're not taking care of ourselves.
Right.
If we're not stewarding ourselves, we can't steward anything else. It's like being on the airplane. And they always tell you if the bags ever drop down, put the mask on your face first.
Right.
Then you can help the kid or whoever else is next to you.
Right.
So that's part of the way we got to think about this.
Yeah. I mean, we also, just where we're at in our place in time and in culture, lifestyle is very sedentary for many people.
Yeah.
And we mentioned this before, but you just can't get over the fact that we've made life so easy with machines and other things. Our jobs, even most of my job is, I do have a fair bit of running around and doing things, but a lot of it's meeting with people, talking to people, in the office, doing computer work and things like that. And it really does not lend itself to taking care of your body, because you're not active.
Yeah. There's a lot of pastors who have written a lot over the years about how important it is to go on, I'm thinking like back in the 18 and 1700s, how a lot of those guys were constantly talking about going on walks, going on runs, and just doing things like that to stay active, because those guys were just in the books all the time,
right?
Preparing sermons. They preached all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool to know that this is a thing that's been around for forever.
Right.
But it definitely is. I do think there is in our day and time, it seems so much easier to be sedentary.
Yes.
It kind of goes back to our digital invasion stuff. There's so much just kind of making us sit down all the time. So we've got to fight against that so that we can take care of ourselves.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. I 100% agree. And this is just something that we have to know and fight the temptation of just living in that mode.
Yeah.
Understanding that we're designed to be active and we need to find ways to be active in our life.
Yeah. And most of the time you'll find, like, when you're being active, you'll be productive too.
Yeah.
It's not only just like only working out where you're not actually, like you're taking care of yourself, but you're not doing anything else productive. But there's a lot of other things you can do on top of working out. Like, you will be able to do more productive things later on because you're working out, and you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, and really, Brian, if we think about this, especially in a biblical framework, this is an issue of stewardship, right?
That's right.
Just like everything in our life, God has given us all of the things in our lives, even our bodies.
Yeah.
And so if it's a gift from the Lord and we don't take care of it, then,
what are we saying about that
what are
gift?
we saying about that gift? And so God has given us these gifts of these bodies, so we must treat them with that awe and reverence in the sense of taking care of it.
That's right. Yeah, and I think people like to talk about body image and things like that a lot, and there's this idea around there that's just just love yourself, whatever, however you are. And there's a sense in which that is true.
That is true. And I think the way we think about ourselves, we have to accept and know that God has created us in his image.
Yeah.
But that doesn't excuse sin and bad habits in our lives and lack of discipline.
That's right. Because that's like saying, I love myself and who God made me to be, but I'm just not going to take care of me.
Right.
I'm not going to steward the gift. And that's what I'm getting at is that, if we're not stewarding the gift and taking care of it, it's like when somebody gives somebody a puppy, and then they're like, oh man, I'm so glad that I have this puppy, thanks mom, thanks dad. But then you never bathe it, you never feed it, you never do you don't ever walk it, nothing. like, yeah, you might love that puppy for what it is, but it's not going to do well.
Right.
And so we won't be doing well, and we won't be living for the glory of God well if we're not putting in the effort to at least take care of ourselves.
Yeah, right. And just like you were saying, you know, genetics plays a role in this. So if you're active and you're eating right, you know, and whatever size you are, that's what size you are. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yep.
And so I think that's where we don't want people to think that you know,
Right.
everybody needs to be a certain size or everyone needs to be a certain way. I think it's more about eating right and taking care of your body and getting active. Well, that's the point.
And I would even say, so kind of, you know, a lot of times we think, you know, we think one way. Well, I want to say this, like, you know, if you're a person who, you know, you can eat anything you want and you don't ever have to exercise, and you just have, you know, for whatever reason, God's blessed you with great genetics, I would encourage you to be careful about that.
Yeah.
Because you might look the way you want to, and that's great. Praise the Lord for that. But that doesn't, just because you look a certain way doesn't mean you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah, that's
right. That's what we're talking about.
That's right.
Here.
Exactly.
So,
okay. Well, that's kind of our biblical backdrop. That kind of fleshes out all the things we've been talking about the last couple of episodes. But let's talk about fitness. And Brian, you have this idea of, you know, once again, we're not bodybuilders. Right. We're not strong men. Mm-hmm. You know, the average person is looking for what you call functional fitness. So can you define that for us a little bit? Yeah.
So functional fitness, and I kind of said this a little bit, but it's essentially becoming fit or being fit or strong in a way that your body can do what it was designed to do well. So it's essentially all about all the different motions that your body does in your normal daily life. You are exercising in such a way to increase mobility and strength in those areas. So you're not necessarily trying to get, you know, super huge gains. You know, you're not trying to get gigantic shoulders and all this other stuff, but you do want your shoulders to be strong enough so that you can pick that iron pan up from the bottom, you know, shelf. I mean, those things are heavy. So like, you got to make sure you can do that, because as you age, especially if you do this now, if you're a younger person, you do this now, the older you get, the more strength and the more mobility you'll have later on.
Yeah. And for me, like, functional fitness has a lot to do with endurance, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I noticed that as I got older, and as I was not taking care of myself, for instance, like standing for long periods became difficult.
Yep.
As I've been able to work out and build muscle and lose weight, standing doesn't bother me as much. Right. And so I'm able to stand for longer periods. I always wondered, like, how can guys in the military or whatever stand for so long? It's because they're in shape and they're able to stand on their legs, and their core and everything is those muscles have endurance built up in them to be able just to stand, just to walk, just to run, just to do your normal day of yard. Say you need to go out on Saturday and do a couple hours of yard work, and you're not just like destroyed for the rest of the day.
You actually will feel better.
Right.
Because you're in shape, you know, you've been doing that. You know, for me, it's like picking up the kids. Right. You know, the kids are on the ground. I want to play with them. I want to pick them up and toss them in the air or something, you know. I've got to be able to, I've got to have a healthy back and
throw them into
legs.
low orbit, right?
Yeah, low orbit.
But yeah, functional fitness. That's so the first part of functional fitness is just to get active.
Yeah, just to start.
Just to start. And listen, we're going to advocate in a moment for a certain type of activity. However, we want to qualify that with saying, listen, we are pro any activity. So if you are somebody who likes to run, likes to hike, if you're okay getting in the gym, if you want to do things at home, whatever your activity is,
do it.
Do that.
Right. Enjoy it.
Yeah. Do that. Enjoy it. Let that be your, the main thing is you get active.
That's right.
You know, I know an older pastor friend who is very active. He takes his walk every day for a couple hours. He's out walking, and he actually uses that time to pray and to kind of reset his mind and think about sermons and other things that are coming up. And it's just such an encouragement that somebody that's in their grandparent years is still being active like that. And that's an encouragement to me. That's what I want to do.
That's like goals right there.
Another guy that works at the food pantry that's older. He runs.
Yeah.
Gets out and runs every day.
Yep.
And I'm like, dang, he's running like multiple miles every day. And I'm like,
good for you.
Yeah, good for you. But I want to be active like that guy.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what we're talking about, is getting started and doing what works for you, you know?
Yeah. And it's all to your ability, you know, and I want to be careful. Like, different people may have injuries or disabilities or things. Mm-hmm. So you have to kind of,
like I'm not going to be running a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not.
Yeah.
But I am going to be walking a lot, and I want to be hiking a lot.
Right.
And biking and stuff, because
so it's whatever to the level of ability,
of your ability. Yeah, that's right.
Or however you can do things. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that's the thing. We've got kind of different levels we think that people are starting at. You know, maybe you are in one of these areas, but you know, many people are in this level where they're basically sedentary. And so what that means is, it doesn't mean that you're immobilized. It just means that for the most part, you are sitting down throughout your day. Mm-hmm. So you might walk here and there, but like, you're not really active past that. Another level is to be moderately active. You might be, taking walks here and there.
Or maybe your job has you on your feet more.
Yeah. And so you're having to, or maybe you work in like a warehouse and you're walking around all the time. Yeah. Stuff like that. Then there's people who are active, and so you are taking steps to be active, or maybe your job actually requires you to be quite active.
Yeah, this is where we want most people to get to.
Exactly.
In this active level where you're doing maybe your job doesn't even require it, but you're doing a structured level of activity throughout the week.
That's right.
And so that's where we're trying to get everyone to. Now, there's the highly active category, and a lot of those people are training for something.
Right.
It could be they're training for a marathon. It could be they're training for a bodybuilding or a strength competition or whatever, a triathlon. You know, that's more of the exception than what we're trying to.
Right, exactly. That's not necessarily the goal, unless that's just what you want to do. Right. I mean, I was talking to somebody just yesterday who I would put in the highly active category. They've just been blessed that way, and they love it. Yeah. They love it, and like, man, that's awesome. Go for it.
Yeah.
But if you're starting in the sedentary spot, then we've got some suggestions on how to get going.
Really, you just need to start doing something. You know, whatever your plan is, whatever your course is. For instance, for me, it was signing up for the gym,
right?
You know, and signing up and going. And I remember it was the end of last year, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to sign up for the gym. And it took me like 2 months because, I was trying to find a partner as well, but it also took me like 2 months to
finally do it.
Yeah, to finally do it. And when I did it, once again, I went into the gym. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it. Luckily, I had a friend, but there's lots of resources out there that will tell you how to get started and what to do. And so that's great. Or if your gym has classes, you can sign up for classes to get started. A lot of them have free, like a personal trainer will introduce you to machines or help you get a workout going. You can pay a personal trainer to keep going with that, but a lot of them will give you that to start.
Yeah, and I would say if you have no idea what you're doing and you don't even know where to look, definitely ask about personal training at a gym. I did that for a little bit, and I wouldn't say, from now that I'm not a personal trainer, I don't feel bad saying this, but once you get the information that you need, you probably don't need to have that all the time unless you just need that motivation. Yeah. But to get yourself started, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even pay for a few sessions and help them get you going.
Right.
So that's kind of the way to get started, is really just to go.
Yeah. Pick what you want to do.
Yep.
Or a combination of what you want to do. Right. And then get active and head down the road and set kind of like a schedule,
And I would even say for you, Brian, as I was, because I was around, when you were kind of starting this, you thought about this a lot. It wasn't something that you just went and did. And so in one sense, we're saying, just start. But in another sense, I think make sure you are thinking about this. Make sure you are really understanding what you're wanting to do to the best that you can.
Right.
But eventually there will come a point where the thinking, you're not going to be able to think anymore. You're not going to be able to play anymore. You just got to go do it.
Yeah.
So
you and me, we do what we call strength training.
That's right.
And we advocate for a combination of weightlifting, designed body weight movements. It could be could include plyometrics or isometrics.
Right.
Those are new words to me, but those type of things are what we're trying to accomplish. We don't get on the treadmill and run for hours and hours and hours. One of the reasons that this is so helpful is when you are building muscle and gaining muscle, you actually, especially if you're overweight, this will help you more. Number one, the caloric deficit, that's number one.
That's number one.
But number two, strength training will help you build muscle, and that muscle will burn fat.
That's right.
Eat when you're in the gym and when you're resting.
That's right.
So tell us a little about muscles. What is causing this to happen? What is some of that behind that?
So when you're working out your muscles, essentially what's going on is as you are exerting force and you're contracting, your muscles contracting and then releasing, it starts to do this thing people call it micro tearing. And what it is where the little fibers inside are essentially, because of the way that they are functioning, they're kind of like tearing in very microscopic sort of ways. It's not bad for you unless you overdo it. That's why over-exercising is bad. But so what that means is when you're resting, the food, and
that's where the soreness comes from.
That's where the soreness comes from. That's good soreness, because what that means is your muscles have been worked out properly, and then they have to repair themselves.
And that's where the muscle gets built and gets stronger, is when they repair themselves.
That's right. And so like as you're doing this, it's building, it's basically rebuilding itself.
Yeah.
Like God made an amazing thing when he made us, when he made muscles.
Right.
And so it's rebuilding itself, which means it needs energy from somewhere to do that. And that's where it's taking your calories.
So if you're in a caloric deficit, you will burn your fat even when resting on your rest day,
because
which is so
your
cool.
muscles are taking the calories from your fat store.
Right.
And that's why carbs, like people like to cut out carbs, because carbs, when they're not used, they get stored into fat. Well, when you are in a caloric deficit, then your muscles, and you're working your muscles out, your muscles need some energy from something, so they take it from that storage that you've got.
That's right.
So that's why building muscle, and we're not talking about bodybuilding and getting jacked. We're just talking about working your muscles out. Will help you burn fat better than almost anything.
Yeah, and we're not against other things like cardio and stuff like that. I mean, I do a little bit of cardio. I try to get maybe a mile in on the treadmill or the elliptical, or
to me, cardio is about endurance.
Yeah,
cardio is about just having endurance and being able to breathe good and keep going.
But when you do cardio, so say you get on the treadmill for an hour,
right?
You will burn calories.
Yes.
And you can actually burn similar calories to an hour workout of strength training. However, the difference is those, once you're done, they've shown, studies have shown, you won't continue to burn calories.
That's right.
It will drop off, and so you're just done.
That's right. And that's why working out, it's a continual, it basically continues throughout the day.
Right.
Even further beyond the day that you worked out, because of the lasting effects of
it increases your metabolism throughout for a much longer period of time. So, we advocate for strength training. Now, you can do this in multiple ways. We go to gyms. We have different gyms we go to, you and me. You can do that in the gym. However, you can also do this at home.
Oh man, and after the whole quarantine thing, the amount of resources for home exercises has exploded.
Yes.
So I mean, you can do it.
My wife is a big home person.
Mine too.
She watches YouTube videos, and she does have weights that she uses. And so she really likes that. She's not a person that likes going to the gym.
Right.
You'll never find my wife in the gym. And that's okay. If that's the type of person you are,
right,
that's great. But you can do, like I said, we live in the time of so many resources. Find some stuff online. There's free stuff on YouTube.
Yep.
There's things you can pay for and get videos and apps and things like that. Well, and that's all fine.
What's amazing about this is like you go to a gym and like, let's say you like to do a class, which those classes are really good. I mean, I see them sometimes. I'm like, man, I'm glad I'm not doing that. But you're doing a class, or they have like video. I saw somebody, they were watching a video this morning, and I'm like, I mean, you can do that on your phone at home if you want to.
Right.
And so my wife loves to do that too, and it works.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
it really does work.
You don't have to spend a ton of money on it.
No.
You can get a few different weights and
That's
different
right.
things like that. I will caution, once you get into it, you'll want more and more. There's like so many things I want to get.
Yes, you will.
For at home, but
yep.
But anyway, so here's a couple of tips that we've kind of found. Number one is just sticking with it.
Yeah.
You may start your workout or you start your whatever your activity thing is, and you may not see results for a while, but you got to stick with it. This is something that is a lifestyle.
That's right.
We're not in this to lose quick weight or to.
It's not a gimmick.
Yeah, it's not a gimmick. This is part of our getting active. Needs to become part of our lifestyle.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, like it's what we were made to do.
Right.
Is to be active in the world.
Right.
And to be, participating in all that God is doing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so it's just it's a new way of life that maybe if you haven't been doing, it'll be hard at first, but once you stick with it, and that's the thing I hope that our listeners are hearing from us is. It will be hard, but the good news is that it's not going to stay hard.
Right.
It gets much better, and it gets to the place where you love it.
Right. It's kind of fun, which I know may sound demented.
Yeah.
But I have come to the place where I enjoy working out.
Yeah.
And it helps me like get my mind right, and be a place
energizing.
Where I can be a place where I can pray, I can think. It's just really helpful.
Yes, absolutely. So stick with it. But another thing is to make sure that you're setting goals.
Yeah.
That's going to help you stick with it.
So you may have a long-term goal, like I want to lose weight or I want to do this or that.
Right.
I don't know what.
I want to be a bodybuilder. I don't know. No.
But listen, throughout the whole thing, I've set short-term goals. Like when I started, I wasn't able to do a push-up. I had to do modified push-ups. And so I had to start there and say, okay, I want to be able to do sets of multiple push-ups,
right?
And same thing with sit-ups. It's hard to do sit-ups, and now I'm on the decline sit-up bench doing multiple sets of decline sit-ups. And that's only come over time working it out. My goal by the end of the year is to try to do a pull-up, which is a more advanced type movement and requires working out multiple muscle groups.
Yeah.
And so I'm on a training plan to get there.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is it's all about, and this is something that is really important, is making sure you're setting achievable small goals.
Right.
It has to be realistic. And that's one of the things that I see people not doing a lot is they'll set big goals, and those are great. But if you don't have steps to that, that's like saying I'm going to get on top of the roof. Okay. Well, what's your ladder? Like, do you have a ladder to get there? Do you have like steps that you're going to take up? Because if you don't, then you're telling me you're going to jump onto the roof. That's not going to happen. And so these goals are essentially little steps on a ladder that you take one at a time, and you can do it. And that's what's so great is because what you'll do is you'll be setting these little goals and you'll be, ticking them off. And then you'll look back and be like, wow, I have made it so far.
Right.
And I didn't even know I've been making it this far.
That's right.
It's amazing.
That's right.
So set those goals.
Yeah. We'd also say start slow. Don't run in and do like an hour and a half workout and destroy your body. Take time, work up to things. If you're going to be a runner, start with walking and then running a little bit.
That's right.
And walking, running a little bit. It's okay. Listen, once again, this is a lifestyle. So if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, start slow and work up to where you can get to.
Yeah, and don't be upset. Like for instance, if you used to work out or you used to be really fit when you were younger or whatever, don't be upset when you go back in and you can't do what you used to be able to do. That's normal. And so
nobody can do what they used to do.
Yeah, that's right. And so you can, but for like a minute at most, but then you're dying. Yeah. So take it slow. Don't go too fast, but also keep track of what you're doing.
That's right. Yeah. That's been so important. I've used different apps and things, and I'm using Fit Notes right now. It's a free app that helps me keep track of my workouts. But I will say this, there's some great, Under Armour has some great apps.
Oh yeah.
They have the Map My Fitness,
That's
Map My Ride, Map My Walk, Map My Run, and also My Fitness Pal. They're all
integrated. They can all integrate.
Yeah, and they all work together. So I'll put my workout in Map My Fitness, and it will carry over to the My Fitness Pal, and they'll kind of sync up. And so those are really helpful. But there's all kinds of great apps. If you don't know a workout plan, and you're like, I'm going to the gym, I don't have a workout plan. Maybe you get one of these apps, and maybe it's something you even have to pay a little bit money for to start, just to get a workout plan.
Right. Yeah, that's huge. And for me, I was working out with a guy who knew what he was doing, and we literally brought notebooks into the gym. I mean, we had notebooks. It was very old school. He was an old school dude. Felt like I was working out with like Rocky, and so, but with
we were cargo net of rocks. Is that what you did?
No, not quite that old school. But yeah, we just wrote it down. But I'm telling you, that was the way that I was able to keep track of what I was doing, and it also helped me know what to do next, because I could look back and be like, I'm actually not that strong, so I need to take some of the weight off, and it helps me build my muscle, get to a stronger place. So it was really helpful to keep track. But there's other things too.
Yeah, I added this one in. Actually, I added this morning because we talked about this week. We
did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And rest days, even rest weeks are good. If you're, a lot of guys that work out, even bodybuilders have rest days. They may work out 4 or 5 days a week.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the most. They'll have at least 2 rest days throughout the week. And, right now I work out 3 days and have rest days in between. Mm-hmm. And so that's so important. They actually say a rest day is as important as your workout day.
It so is, because imagine, I mean, like we were talking about the muscles and the micro tearing. I mean, if all you're doing, it's like if you had a rope and pretend you were fraying it, but then it would repair itself. But you never gave it time to repair itself.
Right.
Eventually, the rope's going to break.
Right.
I mean, that's bad. It can be really bad if you're not resting.
There are so many studies that rest, sleep, all of these things are going to be huge in helping you to get to your fitness goals.
Yeah.
So don't underestimate these types of things. And then after you've been working out for a number of weeks, like, it's anywhere from like 6 to 12 weeks, depending on which expert you listen to. So maybe
I would just go for
after
8.
a couple months. Take a week off.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to take next week off because I've been going pretty hard. And they actually said that you'll get back to the gym and your muscle
feel so much better.
You'll feel better. If there's any sort of overworking injuries, that they'll kind of have a chance to heal a little bit.
Yep.
And you'll be able to kind of even get stronger as you go in the next time.
It's amazing how it works, and it's hard to explain until you just experience it.
Yeah.
So if you've been working, maybe you're listening and you work out all the time, but you haven't rested in a while, maybe take a rest. And I've heard stories of people who just couldn't get over that plateau that they talk about, where you just can't get better, you can't lose weight or whatever. And sometimes it's just because you haven't taken a break.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
So.
I wish that somebody would have told us that rest was a good thing. Maybe the Bible?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I was actually thinking that, God, who doesn't have to rest, showed us how important
we need to rest
by resting on the 7th day. I mean, it's important.
Yeah. Life is about balance. So, it's about being active. It's also about it's about intentional times of activity and intentional times of rest.
Yes.
That's what it's about. It can't be all active all the time, and it can't be all rest all the time.
Nope. It has to be both.
That has to be both.
Yep.
So, okay. So let's quickly go through maybe some barriers that people are facing.
Yeah.
We've kind of hit on some of these, but maybe this is where you're at. The first one is lack of knowledge of the body. And so, this is really important, Brian. I know you helped me think about, the body in the sense of the muscles and what needs to be worked out and how you group things together.
Yeah.
And so there's great resources online. There's books you can read, and you need to kind of know a little bit. Like you say, you don't have to be an exercise. I call it exerciseologist.
Oh yeah,
it's called
kinesthesiologist.
Yeah,
kinesthesiologist.
But
yeah, it's hard to say.
But you have to kind of know a little bit, and it's so easy to learn.
It is. It really is, and you probably know a lot of it without knowing that you know it.
Yeah.
But it just takes being intentional and understanding what the different muscles are doing.
Right.
Again, you don't have to be an expert, but especially for working out, a lot of machines actually will show you. They have diagrams diagrams of what they're working out. But you can get books easily that show you the anatomy of your body while you're working out.
Yeah.
So you can say, hey, I need to work my back out. What exercises do I need to do?
Exactly.
You can type that into YouTube.
Right.
And there'll be like 1,000 videos to show you.
There's also lack of knowledge of working out. And again, there's lots of great things out there. One of the apps from my gym even has examples, and they'll have a video of a guy doing that exercise.
Yep.
And you can look online and have a workout plan and say, okay, I want to have a back and bicep workout.
Yep.
Okay, so here's these 8 exercises I'm going to do when I go to the gym to work this out. And they'll even have how many reps, how many sets you need to do. And then the weight, of course, is depending upon where you're at.
And some of you might be hearing this and you're like, what are reps? What are sets?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And if you're there, hey, that's okay. Really, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being there. Gosh, just look it up. Just say, what are reps? What are sets? You'll find out. But one thing I will say about just lack of knowledge and working out, one super, probably the most important thing when you're working out, pay attention. What you're learning, pay attention to the form, the position of their body during the exercise.
It's actually less about the amount of weight about the form and how. And this is one thing I've learned, because I did have a little bit of a shoulder injury, and I think that it's because of my form,
the position of your body while you
I had bad form, and so actually I went down in weight. And went and focused on form, and that's actually helped me to get stronger.
That's right. It's crazy. Sometimes you need to do less weight in order to do more.
Right. Yeah, that's really important.
So the other thing is that sometimes we just lack planning.
Yeah.
We just haven't really planned what we're trying to do. I know when I go to the gym, if I haven't thought at least the night before about what I'm doing, then I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to stand around and be like, maybe I'll just kind of walk on the treadmill.
Yeah, I have a workout plan the night before, and I'm really, I get bored easily. And so I have a couple. You
just sit down and plan it all out.
Well, I have a couple, 3 workouts that I'll do just to keep it interesting, and I'm always wanting to incorporate new exercises and new things, because I don't want to do the same. I might do the same workout a couple weeks in a row. Like if I had a really good workout and it made me really sore, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do the same workout the next week.
Right.
But after that, I'm mixing it up.
Well, because if you do that same exercise multiple weeks even in a row, it's not going to do the same.
Right.
Right. So I know for me, I used to, back when I was really into it, I had like a big long spreadsheet, and I had the days across the top and the exercises across, and I just had it all planned out. So for weeks, I knew what I was doing. But that was when I was like, a little more crazy.
And it doesn't have to be something where you're getting into that. Like,
no.
It can just be,
now I just decide the day before.
I'm going to jot down, this is the areas I want to work on. I'm going to jot down these few exercises I want to do, kind of the order I want to do them in. And I would suggest do your heaviest low reps first,
right,
and do your lighter, more reps later on in your workout.
Yep.
That's just kind of good practice.
Yep. That's really
injury is a barrier for people, and you want to make sure that you do things safe, or maybe you have been injured and you're kind of recovering or rehabbing. Right. Don't let that injury just keep you from doing things. Do what you can,
man.
When you can do it.
When you can. I'll tell you, the hardest thing for me was trusting my ankle. I broke my ankle, and it was so hard to trust it again.
Yeah.
And so going to like a rehab was really, really helpful. But once I was able to try, I had somebody else tell me, put weight on that.
Right.
And once I started doing that, I was able to do it again. And so for you, if you're in a similar situation, I would really encourage you to find somebody who knows how to work out to help you and encourage you, like, hey, you can do this, or hey, don't do that.
Right.
That's going to help you out. But you can do things, and you might have to modify stuff and stay away from certain things. Like I said, I'm not going to be running because it just puts way too much pressure on my legs.
That's right. It's okay. And it's okay if you need to modify or change or whatever. I mean, it's once again, it's about being active. It's not about anything else.
Doing everything. Yeah, exactly. So,
and then the last barrier is just no results, you know, and I think that's just not giving it enough time, or it could be a combination of not knowing what to do,
right,
or not giving it enough time. If you kind of have a plan and you know what you're going to do and you're consistent, you will see results over time.
That's right. And so, I will say this, there are factors that can be in play that while you might be eating really well and you might be exercising and you've been waiting, you've been doing it for a long time and it's just not working. And I'll tell you this, I had a doctor friend tell me one time, he was telling me about a sore that I had, and he was like, okay, I want you to try this, and then I want you to try this, and then I want you to try this. Go get some more advice, listen to them, but after you've done all of those things, give it to the Lord.
That's good.
Because God's in control of these things, and there must be a reason.
Right.
And so I know people who have worked out and done all these things, and for whatever reason things aren't happening, and there's no explanation. Even doctors didn't know, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're not taking care of yourself.
Right.
In fact, you're being faithful and you're taking care of yourself. You're stewarding your body well, and so results aren't what it's about.
Right.
Results are a nice, as far as like looks and things like that.
Right.
It's a nice, kind of icing on the cake. But really, it's about taking care of your body. So your
having
body
a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
The same things that made a difference for me for food are the same things that make a difference for exercise. Number one, I just went to the Lord and asked for His help.
Yeah,
and just kind of laid that at His feet to help me do this, and then I got accountability.
Well, and
that's the biggest thing is you go to the Lord. If you're struggling about being active, if you're overweight or whatever, take it to the Lord first and then get some accountability. Get a friend, get somebody you can talk to, somebody that will help you, and that will make the biggest difference.
Absolutely. Didn't you say earlier, I think you said earlier in this podcast, I know you said to me before that the major difference for you in this time of like seeking, a healthy lifestyle is that you went to the Lord with it.
Yes, right. Mm-hmm.
And so that to me just speaks volumes on how this works.
And really just saying, Lord, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I've tried the gimmicks. I've tried everything. And ultimately it's not about that. It's not, to me, honestly, I needed to lose weight. But it wasn't about weight loss. It was about being healthy and honoring what God has given me, my body, with the Lord.
That was my friend who taught me how to work out. Man, every time, that was the one thing we sat in the gym and we prayed together, and it was weird, but we did it, and he owned it, and we dedicated everything we were doing to God.
That's awesome,
and that spoke volumes to me. So
good.
I hope that our listeners will dedicate all that they're doing to the Lord as well, and hopefully this has helped somebody, maybe motivated you. And hey, if you go to our church, come talk to us. We'd love to talk about these things. I know you would. No, we would love to talk about these things.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this series, and I hope it's helped people. Once again, I was motivated by seeing a Facebook post and reading a book, and I just if there's any way that we can help somebody or motivate someone to live a healthy lifestyle, that's what we want to do. It's all for the Lord, and we're here to help people in any way we can. So.
Amen. Yeah, that's right. So, well, cool.
Well, we'll be gone next week. We won't be here.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah. And then we'll be back in 2 weeks with a special Christmas themed episode.
Christmas time is here.
Wow. Immediately. The most somber one.
That's my favorite.
All right.
Anyways,
we gotta go.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Okay, folks, we're talking about exercise today, and I have a very special guest, the former governor of California himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, I am the governor of California. And I don't care if they don't have me as the governor anymore, but I am, because I am in control of everything, including my body. And we're talking about stewarding your body well, right?
So, yes, that's right, Arnold.
Okay,
what advice do you have for somebody that wants to get fit?
Listen, the most important thing is for you to get pumped. If you're not getting pumped, it doesn't matter. You're trying to take care of your little body, it doesn't matter. Get pumped.
What do you have to say to a guy who won't go to the gym?
I don't know what to say. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, you don't want to live? You don't want to... If you don't want to lift, you don't want to live. You know? Is important.
Would you call him a girly man?
I would definitely call him a girly man. I was just wondering if that was okay and appropriate for me to say on the podcast. But yes, girly man, go get bombed.
Thank you, Arnold.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on.